Hello. Well, this is going to be a reaction video. Don't normally do this, but I saw a couple of things in the news that disturbed me. But I saw some of the laws uh, that were coming into place in regards to abortion. Now, I'm probably the last person that should put his 2 cents in about this. And I honestly think, in all honesty, that a lot of the laws that are restricting abortions do take away from a woman's right to choose. Now, being that I'm probably the last person to talk about this, I would have to say that to a certain extent, it's not fair, but to be fair, I honestly don't think that men should really have a say in this law. I really don't, because in all honesty, a woman, she's the one that's got to carry that. She's the one that's got to deal with it mentally, physically, and emotionally with carrying a child. Carrying it to term, then caring for that child until whenever. And so I have to say that I find it a little disingenuous when a bunch of males that have been, whether Republican, Democrat, whatever, that have been on the Senate and the House seat for years and years and years would like to make laws on a woman's body. Now, I do get the whole sanctity of life thing. I do. And to a certain extent, I do hold that yes, you never know what that life is going to be. You never know what the possibilities are. But more than a number of people that say the whole thing about the sanctity of life, I mean, look, if you haven't tried to adopt children, if you haven't tried to help, sponsor children that were in need, whether in the US or abroad, and yet you say all life is precious, we should try to protect all life, but yet you won't help do anything about it, then that's disingenuous and a little cruel. Because we all have life and we all get a chance. But more than a number of times, if you look at the people that are impoverished, in bad circumstances, in very bad situations, I mean, to say that and not be able to help them or do anything about it, I don't know. I don't think that that's right. So I personally think that the best way to handle this, the best way to do this, would be to basically have women put their thoughts in, put their opinions in. And I mean send them to the Senate, to the House. Find out who your congressman is. Find out who your congresswoman is. Find out who your state legislators are. Find out who runs your who runs your state Supreme Courts, and put those in with the hashtag women's voices. Okay? And send it to them. Whether you're for abortion, whether you're against abortion, whether you're pro-choice or anti-abortion, whatever. And hashtag it women's voices. And let's get the women to vote on this. Let's get every woman in the Senate, and there aren't many of them. Let's get every woman in the House, and there aren't many of them, to vote on this. And yeah, you could also say, that's not fair, that's not fair. All right, fine. But at the same time, also not being able to have your voices heard or have people take your plight seriously is also very unfair. Because more than a number of these people that say, oh, this law should, there be no exceptions for rape and incest. Have you talked to rape victims? Have you talked to victims of incest? Have you asked them how they feel about it? Have you asked them what they think about this whole thing? Have you talked to them? And if you haven't, then you're being just disingenuous. You really are. And I know that there's a lot of people that are going to say that, well, why are you talking about this? You're a man. You can't carry. Why does this concern you? In all honesty, you're right. It shouldn't. That's why I'm saying women should do the whole voting on this. I really think that. I really do believe that. And so, if you are a woman and you want your voices heard, and I'm asking all women, no matter what you feel about this, what side you're on, to have your voices heard, put it in emails, do snail mail, which really piss a lot of people off, and basically just have your voices and your opinions heard. And you know what? In all honesty, let's get some of these legislators to actually go down and meet some of these victims and meet some of these people where it's hard. Let them go to some of these impoverished places where, children are born to parents that they don't know how they're going to provide for themselves because they're homeless, much less how they can provide for a little child. Let's talk to some of these victims that have been victims of incest, have been victims of rape, and let's do that. I honestly do believe that that would be one of the best ways in order to deal with this, in order to handle this. I'm not asking for massive protest. I'm not asking for, a revolution or anything like that. I'm asking for women's voices to be heard. Men can have an opinion, but we can't really, really, really get in on this about what to do for any woman that's carrying a child to completion. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and I could be. Absolutely. I think that women should have their voices heard before these laws are made, before all of this starts to divide this country so much more than it already has been divided. So, I'm asking for women to have your voices heard and to make sure that they're heard loud and clear. Find out who your senators are. Find out who your congressmen are, congresswomen. Find out who your legislators are. And then make sure that you send them your thoughts, your opinions, your belief, and, to a certain extent, even your fears. And hashtag it, Women's Voices. And hopefully, let's have a conversation and let's spark a conversation, and maybe, just maybe, we can get to a place where we might actually be able to do some good rather than a lot more harm. Just my thoughts, just my opinion, and believe me, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I do believe that this would be one of the best ways to handle it. Don't send people hate mail. Don't send people threats. Don't do any of that. You want your voices heard. You don't want them ignored. And that's the easiest way to get ignored, is to come at somebody hostile. Okay? So, that's just my reaction. All right. Hashtag women's voices. I'm probably not the first person to ever think about this. So if this doesn't reach very far, it's cool. Just thought I should put it out there. Thanks.